And welcome back. It's the start of the end of the week of What If. If that sentence makes any sense, and it does, if you think on it for more than a few minutes. But it's the end of the week of What If. But we end the week of What If with a new What If. We finished out the Naruto Zanpakuto one. Now we're on this one. This one, by the way, comes to us from Gray Fox, Hyperboy 14 Edwin, and oh god, this one I'm going to butcher, but I'll give it a old college go. Adita Bachataya, who asked the question, what if the Uzumaki clan lived in the Leaf Village? Now, should be very clear about a couple things going into this one. And first and the biggest one, this is not the same as if the Uzumaki survived. Now, the Uzumaki can survive by being in the Leaf, but that does not mean it's the same type of what if as if the Uzumaki survived. If you were to just do the what if the Uzumaki survived, that means the Uzumaki still exist in the land of the Whirlpool. So that is the actual key difference. I had to actually think, do I combine the two? Kind of like with the Naruto and the Senju and the Wood Release thing? But no, I can't combine the two. And second, there's a difference between a Naruto what if that obviously has a change that can affect the story drastically, and one that almost fundamentally changes the story as we know it. Naruto gaining a Kekkei Genkai, being adopted by someone, those can change the stories drastically, but they don't fundamentally change the stories as we know it. This is one of those what ifs that can change the story, change the narrative of the story fundamentally as we know it. So first and foremost, we've got to basically break down the history here. Why are the Uzumaki? Because they're the Uzumaki. They obviously originated in the land of Whirlpool. Now we also know that the Uzumaki. We actually don't know a huge amount. We have a chunk of knowledge about them. We know that they are the cousin clan of the Senju, and they oftentimes intermarry. They shared the Senju's strong life force, which is why they could live for so long. They had numerous abilities. Honestly, they were best known for their mastery of Fujitsu sealing. They most likely had a good comprehension being a whirlpool nation and living on islands. Probably had chocolate elements of at least water, maybe some wind. They probably ran the gamut, honestly. We also know that there's the adamantine chains as well as the chakra chains that they're capable of using. Karin has showed healing bites, or basically being able to heal someone by having them bite on her and absorb or suck on her chakra. So we know that those are abilities that Uzumaki have, but we just don't know much about the clan. This is one of those times where I may have to lean on the fanfic side of things and just create characters. Because when I looked up the amount of Uzumaki we actually know exist, and I mean like Uzumaki, not like married into the clan Uzumaki like Hinata and by extension Boruto and Himawari, who are children born from that marriage and union. But I mean like pure blood or Uzumaki, like Naruto. Technically Naruto is not a pure blood, but he's pure enough. You know what I mean. Because he's actually half Uzumaki. Minato is not an Uzumaki, and therefore Hinata or Hinawari and Boruto are like quarter Uzumaki. I mean, there's Kushina, there was Mito Uzumaki, which was the first wife. There was the head of the Uzumaki, who was this guy right here. Then there's Nagato, and there's Karin. If you're talking about pure blood Uzumaki plus, Nagato's mom, the pure blood Uzumaki, you're only looking at about 6 that we actually legitimately know of. If you want to go into like half Uzumakis, well, okay, then you got Naruto, great, that's 7. And if you go quarter Uzumaki, that's Hinamari and Boruto. Not a lot of Uzumaki that we canonly know of. So the question is, why are they in the Leaf? Why do they live in the Leaf? So my guess is what we could have seen here is that a good chunk of them during, I can't remember which Ninja War it was they were wiped out in. I think it was the second. During the second Great Ninja War, I could see a very real scenario, because we know some of the Uzumaki survived, and some of them lived in the Leaf anyway. I mean, there was Kushina, obviously, and Mito, or whatever her name, it's what is the first wife's name anyway? I know in my head I think it's just Mito. I'm just trying to remember how that's spelled. Uzumaki clan. Hold on. Let's see here now. Uzumaki clan. It was Mito. Mito Uzumaki. And and so we know that the Uzumaki, some of them were exchanged to the Leaf, and very likely some Leaf Ninja were exchanged to the island nation of the Uzumaki. So very likely there was some trade-off there. But most likely what I think we'd see here is during the Second Ninja War, even though they were probably a proud warrior, they were probably proud warriors and ninja and their homeland, they probably were also smart enough in this scenario to be like, okay, it's looking like they may come and just, go all out against us. We'll keep like a couple forces here just in case, but I think we gotta send the bulk of us to Konoha. Like we gotta send it to our the one ally we know we still have. And so a bunch of them relocate. I think we would lose the head though. The head stays there and kind of fends off like the whole nation, like best they can. And they end up, perishing, all that. But you get the bulk majority of the Uzumakis living in the Leaf now. Let's say 60% of them. I think that's a reasonable amount. In terms of their numbers, that's another question. Well, like the Senju, as far as you know, except for Tsunade, the Senju have all but died out. Whereas the Uzumaki, there seem to be more Uzumaki in like the, let me actually get the Senju clan up here real quick. How many Senjus are there? Senju. How many Senjus are there that we know of? Okay, there was Nawaki. Oh, that's right, because that was her brother. There was obviously Tsunade's mother, whoever that was, which would have been the first daughter. Mito is Senju by marriage. Obviously, you got Hashirama and you got Tobirama. So get those guys out of the way. Then I believe his father was that Kawarama. Kawarama. He was just a young ninja from the Senju clan. We don't. There's a couple named Senju here, but honestly, there's less known Senjus than there are Uzumakis. Either way, though. And as far as we know, Hashirama is the only one who ever did wood release. That's canon. Like, as far as we know, he's the only one who legitimately unlocked wood release. Yamato has it because of an experiment, and same with Danzo, and throw in Madara as well. But anyway, so 60% of their clan. What size are we looking at here? Well, I mean, if we look behind, hold on one second. I know this guy's name. I know the name. And I had it up there right in front of me. With the leader of the Uzumaki is what I'm trying to get. Was it Arshina? Was that or was it Fusu? I think it was Fusu. No, Fusu was actually. Oh no. Oh, who knew? Fusu was actually named. That was Nagato's mother. I think we're actually. I believe it's Ashina. Yeah, Ashina Uzumaki. He was the leader during the founding of Konoha. Okay, so based on the kind of numbers we have there's at least a dozen ninja behind him. And what we can gather of some of the larger clans, like the Hyuga, I don't know if the Hyuga number in the hundreds, but they definitely number in the high dozens. Add on to the fact that the Uzumaki, I think, might not have been the only people in the whirlpools, but they were the only ninjas there. So there was probably a lot more Uzumaki because of isolation than there were, like, say, Hyuga or Uchiha. Although the Uchiha had a very large number. There was a very large number of Uchiha. I would put them probably on the higher end of the scale. Like, there's still at least a good 3 to 4 dozen Uzumaki that live in the Leaf. Like, pure-blooded Uzumaki. And that's not including marriages and all that. So they probably rival some clans like the Hyuga and the Uchiha in terms of their numbers. So their standing right out the gate is very high. They also, being like cousins to the Senju, are about as close to like royalty and they helped with the founding of Konoha. They are probably as close to royalty in the village as any other of the high-profile clans, Hyuga or Uchiha alike. So they got a lot of clout. They got a lot of, they've got a lot of, I think words here. They got a lot of clout. They got a lot of respect, and they got a lot of authority among the Ninja Council. Now, I bring up some characters that we'll probably have. We need a head of the clan at the moment. Now, at this point now, Arashina is long since gone, so there's got to be a new head of the clan. I like to nominate myself. I could kind of here's the thing. We're not doing a what if I'm in Naruto one right now. Eventually I'll get to that one. But I will admit, I don't mind modeling a character kind of off me a little bit. What I could see, honestly, is he probably looks something akin to like a Minato, but with red hair. Honestly, think what Naruto's hair really looks like, all spiky. Those sharp points, but red. Really, that's all you really need. And he'd probably be like middle, like he'd obviously be older than me as the clan head. But you're looking at a guy who's probably in, say, his like early 40s or something like that. And he's the current clan head. Probably carries maybe not a full beard, but a mild 5 o'clock shadow. And he's probably a badass. I mean, I'm not. And again, this is not me per se. This is not the character I would create. I already know what the character I'm creating would be. But he would probably be he would be among the top ninja of the village. The question is, also, can you have a clan head be because the Sarutobi are the Sarutobis a clan, or are they a family? Then again, I mean, Minato and Tobirama were both probably clan heads at one point, so at least we know Hashirama was. So either way, I said Minato. I meant Tobirama and Hashirama were clan heads. So yeah, I mean, a clan head could be Hokage. Would he be Hokage? So going through the history of the Uzumaki leading up to present day Naruto, like when we start the series, what would the history be? Again, like I said, fundamental changes to the story overall, because we know Hashirama, wanted peace between like the Uchihas and all that. It didn't work out very well. Although he probably has the end of the Uzumaki and stuff like that, but and so the Ninetails gets sealed away inside his wife. She remains the Jinchuriki for many years. The Tobirama probably creates the police force in order to, and still creates the police force in order to kind of give them a level of power, but keep them in check, which is what was kind of determined. I think though the Uzumaki would still be very present in terms of wanting to see, the village prosper and trying to keep things in check. So they would probably try to be allies of the Uchiha as well. Just like, because they are very much the cousins to the Senju, I believe they probably have like-minded ideas and, philosophies to some degree or another. So, they would probably be trying to like help the Uchiha out, maybe in sharing some knowledge with them, make sure that they don't feel, dejected. I still, unfortunately, think that the Uchiha massacre still happens. So I don't think it goes well enough, because I think between Tobirama and the Uchiha, and the Uzumaki, I think the Uchiha may just feel like they're being pandered to, unfortunately, because they're very proud people. They're kind of asses too, but very proud people. So Minato passes, and Kushina would be born legitimately in the village. So Kushina is she's just a ninja of the village. So that is, she's not a transfer student. She's just there. She's just raised. So while she still makes the declaration to become Hokage, I'm sure, I don't see her being as awkward about it. And obviously Minato saves her. And there's nothing to say that a ninja can't marry into a clan. We see that, Naruto technically married into the Hyuga clan, but Hinata married into the Uzumaki clan. She took the name Uzumaki. So, and we know Sakura, did Sakura, I just realized, did Sakura take the name Uchiha? I don't think Sakura did. I don't think they're actually married. And we know they got together and had a kid together. Sakura Haruno. I never even considered that. Sakura Haruno. Let me see here. Did she take the name? That is a damn good question. Let's see here. Okay, I mean, they claim that her name. Okay, it is Sakura Uchiha. Okay, she did in fact take the name Sakura Uchiha. All right. because I don't watch Boruto or read Boruto at all. I keep track of it, but I don't watch it. Like, so when Naruto goes like a Bayon or Barian mode against that guy, I'm like, okay, that's pretty freaking badass. I gotta give it props when the props need to be given. But yeah, oh yeah. So Minato, as long as they recognize Minato as a good person and as a strong ninja that can either strengthen the clan or at least protect his family, then I don't see any reason why they wouldn't let Kushina and Minato be involved with each other. So yeah, unfortunately, the Uchiha massacre still happens now. Here comes the fun. We get to when Naruto is about to be born. Big changes coming up. Now, remember, the Uchiha massacre hasn't happened, obviously, at this point yet. I'm just saying that the Uchiha massacre will most likely happen. But at the same time, I could see maybe a couple extra Uchiha maybe being spared because the Uzumaki are just they are allies to the Uchiha, admittedly. But the Uchiha probably don't tell them about the coup because, well, it's like they're still very loyal to the village. They're one of the founding clans of the village. And we may have to go against them. I hope we don't, but if we do, I don't want to bring it up to them because they're still loyal to the village and they're probably going to try to talk us out of it. And I can't do that. We can't do that to our friends. So, I mean, we'll try to do it undercover before, it's to make sure the Uzumaki don't get involved. Because they didn't seem to be worried about the Hyuga. They weren't worried about the Aburame. They weren't worried about the Inuzuka. Nara's, the Yamanaka, they weren't worried about any of them. The Aburames, nope. I get the impression they might be worried about the Uzumaki, just because of everything we know about the Uzumaki, the small but very substantial amount. Plus, they actually have a decent relationship with the Uzumaki. Even though they still feel patronized, they can tell the Uzumaki were genuinely trying to be, supportive and helpful. And I think they would respect that and keep that in mind. So I think that maybe a couple more Uchiha might get spared because of that. For instance, maybe, and I'm not saying she will be, maybe Mikoto, Sasuke's mom, maybe. She's very good friends with Kushina in the original, and I can see her being even better friends here. So, maybe. We'll wait and see, because honestly, I don't think I'm going to end this on the Uchiha massacre. No. So, obviously, Naruto is born. But the event still happened earlier with Kakashi, Obito, Rin. So Obito still out there trying to do shit. Unfortunately for Obito, instead of the third's wife being there, there is a group, like at least half a dozen Uzumakis there. And even I think a low-level Uzumaki, like a Genin, if properly trained, as we've seen with Naruto, like the potential he obviously had, is no joke. Like they're clear. I imagine like a Genin or like a Chunin or a Jonin is like actually power equivalent wise a class above the rank. So a Genin is actually more closer to a Chunin closer to a Jonin, so forth and so on. That's the kind of like impression you kind of get from the Uzumaki based on what was said. They were feared that much. But anyway, there's like a half a dozen Uzumakis there, at least Chunin the Jonin, and they're seal experts, so they're able to keep the fox very much like, boop, nope, you ain't going nowhere. And Obito is aware of this, and, he does sneak in and managed, I think, to kill like two of them, but the other four, as he tries to go for Naruto, the other four ultimately like, no. And Minato also obviously has his jutsu as well, the Flying Thunder God. So even though Obito initially grabs Naruto, the Uzumaki can, with a combination of sealing techniques, straight hand-to-hand combat, and they're and straight-on skill, plus Minato are basically able to say no. And basically, Minato, like for instance, throws the kunai directly behind Obito, who senses it, and then Minato just boom, smacks him, I think, straight in the face. And then the Uzumaki are able to actually get seals, at least another seal or two on him. And Obito realizes, like, I'm not going to be able to release the damn fox because I'm literally surrounded by, like, A to S-class ninja around me. Plus the freaking Hokage. Like, well, and Obito really is like, I did not think this through. Crap. And so he has to get out of there, and he's able to Kamui out of there, but he's finding his chakras a little weird. Then he realizes one of the seals that got slapped on him was like a chakra suppressing seal, a pretty good one too. It's not truly suppressing his chakra, luckily, thanks to all the shenanigans that has happened with him. White Zetsu, Senju cells, all that. But it is making it a lot harder for him to focus his chakra, and he can't get this thing off. So Obito, as Toby, is actually a lot more effective as Toby because he's now got a perma seal on him until they decide to remove the seal because he's not a seal expert per se. He does have some knowledge of seals, but not to the level of like the Uzumaki by any stretch of the means. So now we're dealing with the Obito who's going to be nerfed for a good portion of this series and has really got to rethink his strategy a bit and patience. And so the day is saved. I mean, Kushina the fox still resides in Kushina. She is the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. And Naruto does not have the nine-tailed fox in him. Now, he still has the blonde hair, admittedly, but yeah. And Minato is still alive. So, as I stated at the beginning of the video, there are what-ifs that can change things drastically, but then there's what-ifs that change things fundamentally. This is a fundamental change to the overarching story of Naruto to the point where this might as well be considered a fanfic at this point. So, leading into the Uchiha Massacre, what do we have? What are we dealing with Naruto and a couple other peers? Because the Uzumakis actually just relocated to this village. You now have a Konoha version of Nagato, who does not get the Rinnegan, admittedly, and the Konoha version of Karin. So, and they are all actually, Nagato is actually older, admittedly. By how much? I actually can't remember. How old was Nagato? I gotta put him on. I gotta find his age just to see where. Because I think the age we're looking at him here, he's probably gonna be a Jonin of the Leaf at that point. Nagato Uzumaki age. Let's see here now. So age. He died at the age of 35. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that sounds about right. So you scale back 3 years before Shippuden, that would make him 32 in part 1. Yeah, I can see him being a very seasoned Jonin at this point. Yeah, absolutely. Now, unfortunately, there's no Konan or Yaiko. They're still in the reign. I mean, Jiraiya still probably trained them, admittedly, but they still formed Akatsuki in their own volition. Unfortunately, Yaiko died, and I think they all probably got killed, or at least Konan made it out of there, and she's probably like a rogue missing nin. So, because there's no Nagato to go ape shit on them. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, we'll just sum up basically what is Naruto like as a character right now before the Chia shit happens. Well, he's still very much a rambunctious kid. He's got that energy, but he's not. His personality, I think, is very. His overall personality, I think, is the same. His core personality is the same. He wants to prove himself, wants to be Hokage like his dad, who is Hokage. Now, would Minato... I say the Uchiha Massacre is still going to happen, but I said that before I actually said out loud and realized I said that Minato's still Hokage. Is Minato being Hokage... Does that change things? Does the Uchiha Massacre even still happen? Ugh. I think it still happens. Even though Minato's probably, does his best as Hokage, I think he has to make... I think Sarutobi still is like an advisor to him. I think he still goes to him for a lot of advice. I think, unfortunately, the unfortunate decision has to be made that, they have to be taken out before they do something. And Minato doesn't like the decision. I think basically Danzo and, Sarutobi both have to be like, Sarutobi doesn't love Danzo that much, but he still was a teammate and a friend, and he still respects to some degree his opinion. So I see him still being like, do not. And he looks to Danzo like, make sure it's not. And Itachi be like, Make sure no one knows of the, or make sure as few people know about this as possible. We must do what we can to protect the village. And so, yeah, I think that still ultimately happens. But leading up to that, Naruto, we have no idea what Naruto's legitimate relation to Karin is. She could easily be like Kushina's sister or cousin, or sorry, sister's cousin's like daughter. So let me see here. If that is, let's just say it's a cousin. Easy enough. They're all technically related on some level. So, but like a straight, like her legitimate cousin. So that would make that Naruto's aunt, or sorry, her cousin would make. I think that'd make. God, that's a good question. Would that make Naruto and her cousins like twice removed or something like? They're like cousins twice removed, something like that. At least in this version. And I think, Naruto actually has a lot easier time making friends because he doesn't have the stigma of the fox on him. In fact, people just see him as a very bright and rambunctious kid. Sometimes annoying, but in a fun way. Also, Naruto gets a legitimate training for his chakra control, for his master drills. I think that is a day one thing to Uzumaki when they start training, work on his chakra control, because they got huge reserves. And sealing. I think sealing is a big thing that he works on. Now, Naruto, we know, did not have the adamantine chains. Just wasn't something he had. And they may have ways of determining whether or not Uzumaki does have the potential to do that technique or not. Let's say they do, and, they quickly realize, yeah, Naruto can't really do these techniques. It's all that technique, but it's all good. And it can't do, as far as we know, we can't do the chocolate healing thing, but he never tried it. Karin, obviously, is more of a sensor type. Her and Naruto obviously can get into a lot of trouble together. It's like, yay! It's like, because, she's Karin Nichan. Kind of basically, he thinks of her kind of like a sister. As a matter of fact, I think she's actually a little bit older than Naruto and Sasuke. Not by much, but by a couple years. And you know what? Why don't I get that one up to just finish out like this? Is that they're getting into shenanigans. I think Naruto actually makes friends with most people in in his class. I think it's really just the few that get on his nerves are Sasuke because of because of the Chia arrogance that he admittedly does have, and Kiba for his brash, rudeness. But ultimately, Choji, Shikamaru, we even see in like some flashbacks that, and even Kiba to an extent, they did get along with these guys a lot, at least during class hours. Hinata still crushes on Naruto, I think. She just because I still see the scenario where he came to defend her. I still see that happening, absolutely. And this time, I think it's more the fact that being an Uzumaki, he also carries some clout now. But I think Minato, who came from, oh boy, my battery's running low, but we're almost done here. I think Minato, basically coming from no one, being an orphan, helped give that level of humility to Naruto. So even though he's from a clan here, he is not. He may throw that around once in a while, but he really tries not to be that person. And so he still comes in, still causes trouble, and this time he doesn't get his ass kicked. He actually kicks their ass. And it's like, hey, are you okay? It's like, oh, it's like, Lady Hinata, it's like, are you okay? Oh, Uzumaki-san, thank you, thank you. It's okay. Bye, Hinata. It's like, bye. And so I think she still very much crushes on him, but he's actually very open and jovial and friends with her. I think he very much is, he talks to everyone in class, and I don't think Sakura finds him annoying. Well, maybe annoying, but I don't think she's like is viciously rude to him either. By the way, yes, Karin was actually about 2 or 3 years older than, actually about 1 or 2 years older than Sasuke. So, in Naruto in part 2. So, that I think really is Naruto, like, before he even starting the academy, got higher skill in chakra control already. He's already learning sealing jutsu. And he is, think words here. And he's got a good grasp of hand-to-hand. And I think they will teach him the Shadow Clone because I know the clone jutsu is just no good. I think that's a rite of passage for the Uzumaki too in the Leaf is to learn the Shadow Clone as opposed to the normal clone. Anyway, so that is where we're leaving part 1, which needed to have a lot of exposition and background put into place for the story to really get going. But until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you Wednesday for the next part. Until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.